So bone matrix is composed of the calcium phosphate and collagen fibers. The calcium provides for strength, but without the collagen, that the bone would be quite brittle. So collagen fibers, about a third of the bone weight, is providing some flexibility. Remember, collagen is the most abundant protein in the body. Calcium phosphate is about 2/3 of the weight of the bone. It interacts with calcium hydroxide to form hydroxyapatite. And this is going to also incorporate salts such as calcium carbonate and sodium, magnesium, fluoride ions. Here's a bone, chicken bones that have been soaked in vinegar, and it etches out the calcium. So this bone is quite flexible without any of that calcium. Just the collagen remains. You have to know all of these terms of the compact bone. The functional unit is the osteon. The osteon is this circular unit here. It is found in compact bone. It is not found in spongy bone. You can see that the osteon has circles. Those circles are called lamellae, and each osteon surrounds a artery and vein, and the artery and vein run up the central canal. In the osteon, the osteocytes live in little bony caves called lacunae, because remember, the bone is solid, and how can a living thing live in that solid? Well, there must be a space for it. So that space is the lacunae. And each lacunae is connected to other lacunae by these extensions called canaliculi. So the cytoplasm from one osteocyte connects to another osteocyte. This is because the blood, with all its nutrients and oxygen, is running up the central canal and must reach every living cell in that osteon. And it diffuses through the cytoplasm, through each osteocyte, to get to the other osteocytes. One other term here is the perforating canal. So this is the medullary cavity. It is lined with spongy bone and then has endosteum, the inner membrane, and it has blood vessels running up and down through that medullary cavity. Well, the only way you're going to get blood from the medullary cavity to the osteon is through these perforating canals. So it goes horizontally through the bone and then up through each central canal. Your typical long bone has an outer membrane called a periosteum. The outermost part of that long bone is compact bone, and the compact bone is found as osteons. Remember, the central canals are parallel to the bone, and they connect each central canal with the perforating canal. The osteons are surrounded by layers of bone called circumferential lamellae. Also in between the osteon is spaces that are filled with interstitial lamellae. Oops, don't see any picture there. Let's go back up here. So here, outside here, will be your concentric lamellae. And then here's one osteon, here's another osteon. In between the osteons, you would find interstitial lamellae. So we'll see that this concentric lamellae, the circumferential lamellae are what create growth of the bone's width. This is spongy bone, and you can see it looks terribly different from the osteons. These will be found in the ends of the bone, such as in the epiphyses. And these struts here are called trabeculae. The weight of the skeleton is reduced, and there are no blood vessels in this matrix. So when you look at this following picture, you can see that you still have what looks like an osteon here with individual cells, and the individual cells are connected to the outside of this, the trabeculae, to get the nutrients from out here. They have to diffuse into the cells. Nutrients reach osteons through the canaliculi open to the trabeculae surfaces. So again, this is spongy bone, also called trabecular bone or cancellous bone, and it is found in the epiphysis. Filling these spaces will be red bone marrow where the blood cells are produced. Which of the following terms refers to layers of bone matrix? Lamella. Which of the following is not associated with osteoclasts? Osteoclasts are bone-destroying cells. The osteoblasts are derived from the osteoprogenitor cells. Which of these is associated with trabeculae of the bone? Orient along stress lines. Appositional bone growth is growth of the bone in diameter. So as an infant grows to adulthood, the existing bone increases in diameter. Osteoblasts exist in a cellular layer on the inside of the periosteum, and those osteoblasts add the bone matrix. So you can see these circumferential lamellae added around the circumference of the bone. Here you can see the enlargement from infant to adult. Not only does the bone have to grow bigger in diameter, but the medullary cavity has to increase in size. So not only is the bone enlarging on the outside, but osteoclasts have to remove bone on the inside as that bone grows. The periosteum here, remember it's on the outer surface of the bone, consists of two layers, the outer fibrous layer and the inner cellular layer. This periosteum isolates the bone from surrounding tissue. This is where it's a route for blood and nerve supply, and it participates in bone growth and repair. And you can see these perforating fibers here, these little blue fibers here. They're created by osteoblasts in the periosteum cellular layer, but they are going to connect, they're going to travel through the periosteum and connect to the tendons and ligaments to provide strength. The cellular layer is incomplete, but it covers the spongy bone and lines the central canal. This is the endosteum, which is lining the medullary cavity. It is a single layer of osteoprogenitor cells. So here's our osteoprogenitor cell. And remember, osteoclasts are bone-destroying cell. Osteocyte is a mature cell in the hardened bone. And an osteoblast is a bone-building, blast for building cell. Where will appositional growth occur? Deep to the periosteum. So we began as a fetus, and the fetus was made of hyaline cartilage. This hyaline cartilage is replaced by bone through endochondral, or within the cartilage, ossification. So it starts as a cartilage model and converts to a bony model. The bone will grow in diameter and length, and the diameter growth involves appositional bone deposition. So here we see, originally there's hyaline cartilage. This is called endochondral, or within the cartilage formation. Ossification is formation of bone. You can read through this slide, but just note there are really two ossification centers, the central ossification center, and then finally in the epiphysis, two more ossification centers. So examples of this would be lower jaw, collarbone, etc. Now, there's another type of ossification called intramembranous ossification. And this is going to occur in flat bones, such as bones of the skull, where you have you've got your cartilage membrane, and ossification occurs within that cartilage membrane. Further membranous bone development. I don't really have too much to say here, but at the 8th week is the beginning of this bony development. Prior to 8 weeks, we are an embryo, and after the 8 weeks, with the beginning of the formation of bone, we are a fetus. Where does endochondral ossification of a long bone begin? Oops. That endochondral ossification began at the interior of the shaft. And you can see here a fetus, 10 weeks versus 16 weeks.